Hi, I'm Phil. This is Phil with Facts, and today we're making Metheglin Mead. Yes, today we're making a mead. This is a Metheglin mead, which means it's a mead that is spiced with different spices and herbs. Now, this is a mead that's inspired by plague doctors in the research I've done on them. You see, when they wore those masks with the big beak-looking thing, that actually held herbs and spices. And the belief back then was herbs and spices that smelled really good would protect you from the bad smelling or the bad smells of disease. So the disease itself couldn't get you if you were smelling something pleasant. I know that seems a little weird, but there's also a method to it. And with the science they had back then, that was the belief. So yeah, they probably didn't drink mead, but they might have. I have to look into that. But this mead is inspired by plague doctors, and it is a lavender spiced mead, which is a metheglin. Now, let me tell you how we make it. And unfortunately, due to some microphone issues, I'm going to voice over this and just give you step-by-steps of what we did next. So the first thing we're going to do is get our scale out, take our fermenter, and weigh the honey. We're looking for about 2.5 pounds of honey for this recipe. I'm going to slosh out some of the tea into the vessel and then add that to the recipe as well. That gets every drop of honey. You want to get every drop you paid for. Next, we're going to add our 2 cups of hot tea. This is a lavender black tea. That's going to give us that lavender flavor in the mead we made. Be very careful not to burn yourself, and don't put the tea bags into the actual brew. Now we're going to give it a quick little stir. Once it's all mixed up, we're going to start adding some of our adjuncts, including red wine tannin, all of our spices. There will be a recipe in the bio, and our yeast nutrient. In this case, we have Fermax. Once everything is incorporated, we're going to add some more water, fill it up to about 1 gallon. And then we're going to give it another vigorous mix just to make sure everything is incorporated and all the honey is in suspension, followed by a hydrometer reading. I will add right here what the hydrometer came to. And then we add our yeast. In this case, we're using Lalvin 71B. We then add the cap. And this is now good for fermentation. It's going to go into primary for about 2 weeks. And once it is done, I will show you guys the next steps. Today, we're going to see how it did. Now, there's some clear signs that fermentation has started to stop or is near the end. One, it's clearing out rather well. There is a nice layer of sediment on the bottom in the lees, and there's been no activity in the airlock. These tell me it's probably done, but the only way we're going to know that is if we take a reading. So the first thing we're going to do today is take our hydrometer, our turkey baster, and our cylinder, open up this lid, and take a nice little reading. Now, on inspection, it smells phenomenal. I get really all those spices right in the front, especially the star anise. It's good. And I can see right down to the bottom of the fermenter. Good signs. Interesting. So we're at a 0.99, which means we're done. It's not going any further than 0.99, at least not at the gravity it's supposed to be. Now, I'll figure out the gravity very simply by taking the original gravity, or starting gravity. Now I'll get the gravity by taking the original gravity, which was 1.090, minusing the final gravity, which is 0.999, and then timesing that by 132. That's just the magic number. It's always going to be 132. And that's going to give us, which is good. It's pretty much exactly where we wanted it to be. So what that means is we're ready to rack. By racking, I mean getting the mead out of this vessel, putting it into another vessel for a little bit of bulk aging and clarification. Now, of course, everything I used today has been sanitized. I use Star San to do so, which is a diluted Star San solution. However, any food grade safe sanitizer you have will do just fine. Now, I like to pour this into the new vessel, not the old vessel. There is a very thick cake of lees and other sediment down here, and this will disturb that and just take it that much longer to clear up. And you know what? I'm actually also going to pour myself a little taster glass. But we'll get to that in a little while. And like magic, we're ready to rack. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a pitcher. And I'm going to rack off into the pitcher first. Now, you can rack directly into here, but I like to give it a chance to degas a little bit. And if I want to add anything, I'd rather add it into here than into here. This way I'm sure the volume doesn't overtake this vessel. This is going to go right in. Couple of quick pumps. Carefully get it to the bottom. Now, while this is going, I'm going to take a little sample of our mead. We worked hard on it. It's been going for a few weeks now. It's time to taste it. See what it came out around. So it definitely tastes dry. There's no doubt about that. And I am getting all those wonderful spice notes. The star anise is definitely the star of this show here right now. And if I search for it, I get a little bit of that lavender from the tea. It's wonderful the way it is. I wouldn't change the spice notes. I kind of want a little bit of sweetness because you get the honey in the back of your throat. You get all those spices on your tongue and on the sides. But it just feels like it needs a little something. And I have an answer for that too. But first, let's finish racking. And through the magic of TV, we finished racking. Now, I wanted to keep this out for a second just to show you. There was a little bit of loss. There always is when you make any kind of brew. And it's sludgy and kind of gross looking. And if you really wanted to, you can try to figure out a way to filter that little bit. But I really think it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. And we actually have 1 full gallon, which is why I love those big mouth bubblers to start your brew. Because even when you add a whole bunch of stuff to your mead or wine or whatever you're starting in there, once you rack it off into secondary, you still end up with a full gallon. I know it's a full gallon because my pitcher over here tells me, it has a line here, a little grid, and it tells me in fluid ounces how much I have, which is awesome. If you can get a pitcher like this, please do so. It just makes your life so much easier when brewing. If you can, you have a regular pitcher, you'll kind of know after a few brews how much your volume is as you're making it. It's really cool. Now, when I said I wanted a little bit of sweetness, I didn't mean I want to back sweeten this one. It's intended to be a dry mead. It just is. And those spices need that little bit of dryness to really take over and influence. However, this was a lavender-based mead, and you don't get really any lavender from it. One little trick I've learned, when you want to sweeten a mead, but you don't want to add any sweetness to it, such as extra sugar, honey, whatever the case may be, is a little bit of vanilla extract, about 2 teaspoons. Doesn't seem like a lot. Now you'll see we're getting close. So I'm going to tip this a little bit and try to keep as much liquid over the actual auto siphon as possible. And while this is getting close, it's okay. There's no more fermentation that's going to happen in secondary. This is as dry as it can be, and I didn't add any more sugar to it. So I don't have to worry about it this time. So the less headroom you get actually right now, the better. Now it looked like it was going to overtake, and I'm sure it was going to. So I stopped it a little early, and that gives me just a wee little bit more in the pitcher than what I wanted. However, it's delicious. So I'm just going to keep drinking it. And that's fun. That's a little bonus of brewing sometimes, as you get to drink a little bit on your brew days. And isn't that kind of the reason we're doing it? Now I'm going to put an airlock and bung back into this one. And the airlock has sanitizer fluid in it. And now this one is set to just kind of sit and clear. It's clearish. I think adding the vanilla extract clouded it up a little bit, plus all the agitation of everything we did today. But over the next couple weeks, it's going to start to clear out. It's probably going to go crystal clear all on its own, this one, because there's not much in it to stop it from doing so. However, this is one of those meads that you can make and you can bulk age it just like this for months. The longer it sits in here, the better it's going to get, just like the longer it's going to sit in the bottle. There's no rush to bottle your mead from secondary. There's not. Besides convenience on your part. The quicker you bottle it, the more likely you are to consume it or give it out as a gift. And you want to do that when you're ready to. So there'd be nothing wrong with taking your turkey baster and just stealing a little sample in a few weeks from now. And then again in a month from now. And then maybe in 2 months from now. And when it hits that exact right perfection you're looking for, you're good to go. I'm probably going to bottle it in a couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie. It's just what I'm going to do. However, for your sake, there's no rush to do so. And I think there's a stigma to it where you get scared. It's been in here for too long. Something's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen in here. It is perfectly safe at this stage. Especially with this amount of headroom, there's no headroom. Now, if it was down to the 1 gallon mark, I might get concerned. I might personally start to get a little agitated, want to bottle it sooner, just because the more headroom, the more likely it is to oxidize. But you have an airlock, and there is fluid here. It's a one-way trip. Nothing's going to get in this brew to hurt it. So there's no reason to rush to bottle it. And this is a great one. Like, it's good now, but it's only going to get better with age. Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. Get it? Okay, corniness aside. If you want to try this brew, please do. Leave me a comment. Let me know how it turns out for you. Because, personally, I love this one. This is one I try to keep going. Most of the time, I try to keep at least 1 batch. I really like it. I love the way it comes out. And it's just one of those meads that hits right on a really cool night. Like, it's just perfect like that. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this video. I have tons of other mead videos, wine videos, things of that nature. And By subscribing, you'll always know when something new comes up. And in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly did. So, I'm Phil. This is Phil with Facts. And until next time, cheers.